And we're back with Mr. Brian Ryan. And, we really haven't touched on the subject of people. Famous people, okay. In the past, are you disturbed? There was no theme song. I'm sorry. You want me to bring it on back and tell the people backstage they didn't?
Oh, do you need a theme song? I have one. Thank you.
It's if I may venture a guess, I think you played a TV melody. I heard the Beverly Hillbillies, Andy of Mayberry,
Yeah.
and then Gunsmoke and Superman. That was great.
Well, I made good ears, Jim. Thank you.
That's not why I'm here, though. My ears, they may as well be painted on. They don't really serve me that well.
Well, Tony was telling me that you were one of the best cameramen in the business.
You don't need ears for cameras. That's what I mean, man. It's like, who wants to pin the tail on the cameraman? How about the game host show? Or the talk, you.
Well, I agreed to come onto your program, so.
Yeah, and, there's so much that has been said recently about people taking out their wired phones and going exclusively with cell phones. What do you think Alexander Graham Bell would have thought about what's happening with all this and the sketch pads, and it just goes on and on? What do you think?
For heaven's sakes, that's weird. You should ask me that, because my sister's boyfriend's mother lives in Swampscott, Massachusetts, and she has a nephew who married a woman whose aunt lives in Ohio. And their letter carrier knows somebody who's related to Alexander Graham Bell. And from what I've heard is they're extremely, excited about where wireless and cell phones have gotten us. But what do I know? I'm only here in Little Vermont.
Well, it just dawned on me, you were talking about the family of Alexander Graham Bell, and I wonder if they ever named any of their offspring, Telegraph.
I'm not privy to that information. All I know is that my sister's boyfriend, whose mother lived in Massachusetts, had a nephew who married a woman whose mother lived in Ohio, and they had a letter carrier who was related to Alexander Graham Bell.
Wow, this is really great stuff. Yeah. And so as far as people more and more conforming to the use of cell phones?
My opinion would be another slippery slope. I have one myself, but somebody told me yesterday. So yesterday? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, that the iPods are being tracked, GPS units, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It
Well,
gets you into a situation, get you out of a situation.
Hitler would have, had a ball with that.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine him
Gary
during these
Hitler,
times?
He lived down the street. I grew up on 32nd Avenue. I remember Gary.
Yeah, do you have that that mustache thing going on? Hitler?
In his pubic region?
Well, I guess it would have been there too, but
Yeah.
Wow, you knew little Hitler. Yeah.
Yeah, he had opened up a pizza shop on the corner. He was good people.
Yeah, and I know that you said, and you never write the show or really say what's going to happen, but you said you want to talk about Pink Floyd.
Oh boy.
The band, Pink Floyd?
Yeah. Sigmund Freud was one of the...
No, Pink Floyd. You said
Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Well,
The band.
yeah, well...
Wait, talk about the one you meant.
only like an expert can do. Meeting
It's about you.
Pink Floyd was one of the grandest experiences that ever happened. That encounter was surreal, and that's a phrase I never really was intimate with until.
Did you like the music?
Oh yeah, how can you not? Personally speaking.
And they must have had a lot of misprinted T-shirts.
Yeah, well, that's classic. People who didn't understand the music didn't understand how to spell their name.
Well, you're definitely locking right in. Now, speaking of Locke, what about John? John Locke.
John Locke, 1600s, one of the,
Now, how do you spell that again, please?
with an A,
On the end of Locke?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
I didn't know.
other historians thought there was an E on the end of the John, like Johnny, but I wasn't obviously a close personal friend of him.
I mean, that would be like the word fish would be. No, that wouldn't be fishy.
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 Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's funny you mentioned John.
Look at my
Locke.
fishy.
Right.
Ooh.
It's funny you mentioned John Locke because
Oh, Locke?
yeah, John Locke, my sister's boyfriend, whose mother lives in Massachusetts, had a nephew who was married to a woman whose mother lived in Ohio, and she had a letter carrier who was actually related to John Locke, who was a magnificent philosopher and unequivocally one of the greatest minds that ever graced the presence of enlightenment.
So is John Locke?
Those that knew him well, I guess it was. I don't know much. I'm just.
That reminds me of that song. You're okay. And he's John, right? Locke.
Yeah, you're on. You're not alone, brother. That's it.